Doing every single WWE pay-per-view match so far in 2024. We're about halfway through the year now and roughly halfway through the pay-per-view calendar, so I thought I'd look through every single match that's happened so far, and there are a lot from WrestleMania anyways, so it'll probably be balanced out with the rest of the year. At the end, I will do a final summary once we hit December or so, where I do all of these once again. But right now, we have the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania 40, Backlash, King and Queen of the Ring, and Clash at the Castle to go through. I'll be honest, I don't remember all of these matches perfectly, but from what I do remember, I will try and give an accurate representation of how I think the match went. We're going to get started with the Royal Rumble back in January with the Women's Royal Rumble match. This was a really entertaining match. We saw Jordynne Grace, we saw Jade Cargill, and a lot of really surprise stars. Maybe you didn't think it was a surprise, but still really entertaining. Jade eliminating Nia was awesome, and there were a lot of great moments all throughout. This is going in S tier for me. I really enjoyed this as a match, and it was great seeing Bayley finally get that big moment, even though she has won Money in the Bank before and Women's World titles. This was a very nice moment to see. Then we have the Men's Royal Rumble. I don't think this one's as good as the Women's. I'm going to be putting it in B tier. I could argue an A tier placement here, but I think it's a little too predictable going in. Now, I didn't predict it perfectly back in 2023, but even then, it was pretty obvious that it was going to be Cody most likely to win or Punk, but it was almost guaranteed to be Cody, so we kind of saw that coming, but nonetheless, it was still an entertaining match no matter who was going to win in the end. Then we had Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul. This was just a filler match. I'm putting it in C. Kevin didn't really have a chance of winning. It was just a match that Logan could have for really, giggles, I guess. Really no reason for it to exist, but not bad that it does in a sense. Then we have the Fatal 4-Way for the Undisputed WWE Universal title. This is going to be going right next to the Men's Royal Rumble in B tier. It was entertaining. There were some fun spots here and there, but nothing that you couldn't see on a supplementary show like a Backlash or a Extreme Rules if you're getting lucky. So nothing too notable. I wouldn't go back and really rewatch any of these except maybe the Women's Royal Rumble. And all in all, the Rumble as a whole was a pretty good show. Move on to the Elimination Chamber with the Women's Elimination Chamber match. I really enjoyed the Women's Elimination Chamber. I really like women's stipulation matches in the early part of 2024, it seems. I'm going to be putting this in A tier. It was really fun, exciting. It was kind of 50-50 who's going to win between Liv and Becky. I believe Becky won it. I don't remember exactly, but it's Becky won this match. Jeez, my memory's that bad. But nonetheless, it was an entertaining match. There were a lot of flips, especially from Tiffany and Naomi, and it was just an entertaining watch all throughout. Then there was the tag team titles on the line as the Judgment Day defended against, I don't remember their tag team name. It's Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, whatever their tag team name is. But New Catch Republic, yes. This was, again, just whatever. It didn't really need to be there. It wasn't bad necessarily, but it was just fine. And I wouldn't expect to see it on a pay-per-view, more of a main event of a Raw or a SmackDown. Nothing really on that, top-tier caliber that all four guys in this match can clearly deliver. Then we have the women's tag team title match between the Kabuki Warriors, Candice LeRae, and Indy Hartwell. This is probably about the same as that match. I could argue putting it in D, but it was nice seeing the Aussies get a bit of, or Aussie singular for Indy, just getting a bit of yay, I'm Australian, woohoo, and getting some pops, getting some big moments. And I think just because I thought it was nice, it moves up that one tier to be a little bit better than it might actually be when it comes to the in-ring aspect of it, but the feel of the match as a whole really puts it in that next tier. Then we have the men's Elimination Chamber match, which I also thought was really entertaining. I'm putting it right next to the women's in A tier. There were a few people that you could argue winning the match. You could say, Logan maybe, Randy maybe, but I think it was inevitable that Drew was going to win here. I don't think that was really in question. It was kind of a good setup for him. And even then, really entertaining. Back to my point. We knew Cody was winning the Rumble, but it was still a pretty good match. Basically, same thing with the Chamber here. It was almost certain that Drew was going to win, but we still had an entertaining time watching the thing as a whole. So, nonetheless, pretty chill. And Elimination Chamber as a whole, there's one more match that we'll get to in a second, but all the matches had pretty obvious winners, but you were still entertained with what you saw. And I think a lot of wrestling fans don't like that, but it's a good thing when, you know that most likely this person's going to win, but still watch the good wrestling. Like, even the near falls can be entertaining at times. And as we go to the final match of this chamber, same thing applies. Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax. No chance Nia's winning this match, but it's still gonna be a really entertaining match to watch, and I really enjoyed it. I'm putting it right up in A tier as well. I really like the Elimination Chamber. A lot of people didn't really like it that much. They're like, oh, they put this on a pay-per-view. And yeah, I do agree that these two matches probably aren't pay-per-view caliber, but these three certainly were. And Rhea and Nia put on a really good match, especially for, not the most respected, I guess, worker in Nia, and not the most developed version of Rhea that we've seen. Obviously, she's miles ahead of what she was in like 2020. But at the same time, like, still great work all around. I really liked Elimination Chamber, and so far we're looking pretty good. We go into WrestleMania. There are a lot of matches here, so I'm not going to try and explain them too deeply because I don't want to go through 40 minutes of this, and I have to go in a few minutes. But we have Bayley versus Io Sky. This was really entertaining. This is going to go in A tier for me. I do think it was like a tier below what it could have been. I think it could have been a lot better, but it was still an entertaining match to have Bayley get that W. And a fun match at the same time. It was a world title, so there were inventive spots, like when Io countered the Rose Plant by doing a handstand. That was fun, and all in all, entertaining. Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. The best part of Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso is during the main event of night 2 when Jey spears Jimmy off the stage. That is the best part of their feud. This match sucked. And I'm not going to talk about it anymore because it was awful. Super kick, super kick, super kick, super kick, super kick. I already ranked it in a different video. You can go back and watch that. Terrible. Then we have the ladder match for the tag team titles. I really like this match. Like, some people don't think it's incredible. I really enjoy this. It's ladder fun. It's like really crazy shenanigans. Whoa, cool. Do I think Awesome Truth should have won currently with what they're doing with the titles? No. But at the same time, it was a fun moment to see R-Truth get that WrestleMania win, which was entertaining as a whole. So fine, cool enough. And then, Theory and Waller winning was also dope as just being there. Then we have the Final Testament versus the Pride. This match is fine. I'm putting it in C. Again, not really something that you put on a WrestleMania stage. Something I could see main eventing a really primetime episode of Raw, maybe. Like one of those special editions of Raw or Dynamite, really. On sometimes when it's a Dynamite episode, was like St. Patrick's Day Slam, where yes, it's weekly TV, but it's like better weekly TV, if you know what I mean. That's where this match would go, and really everything in the C tier section. That's where I think they'd belong. Not on a pay-per-view, though. I don't think that's really where it belongs, but it was good enough, and Snoop Dogg was there, so that was cool, I guess. Then there was the women's 6-woman match, whatever. This is going to be going also in C for me. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was incredibly good. It was just a showcase for Jade Cargill. It did exactly what it set out to accomplish. Good job. Then we have Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley, the kickoff of WrestleMania as a whole, the opening match of night 1. Wow. Again, really good matches from Rhea Ripley. Shocker, I know. But this is going to be going in A tier for me. There are not many matches that I put in S tier. You might notice that. We'll get to those a little bit later on. But still, like a lot of that match, Rhea and Becky, is really entertaining. The entrance is great for Rhea. Becky has a pretty dope jacket when she comes out. It's all the pages of her book. Now, Rhea winning was fine. I think it was the right decision, but given what happened afterward, I don't think it was the right decision. Now, obviously, you can't control injuries, but at the same time, I think it's just an unfortunate way that could have ended. And if they just switched the titles here, I think it would have been kind of a more fitting send-off rather than just a battle royal win for Becky later down the line. Then we have Sami Zayn versus Gunther. I think this was a really good match, and I'm putting it in S tier. I really enjoyed it. And my English teacher, I spoke to him about this match, and he said he really didn't like it, and I was a little confused, and I asked why. And he said the same argument I was making earlier. It was too predictable. And I said, okay, bro, come on. Even though it's predictable, it's still fun to watch. Like the men's Royal Rumble, again, I keep going back to it. Yes, it's only in B tier, but at the same time, it's an entertaining watch because, even though, Cody's winning, you can be entertained by, oh, wow, what a cool spot. Oh, Punk just eliminated this person. Dominic Mysterio eliminated Braun Breaker. That's cool. That's really cool. And at the same time, this match, yes, is pretty inevitable Sammy was going to win. But, Brainbuster, the haluva kicks, him like fighting back to his feet, all of it was really, really good. And you can argue really any of these matches in A tier could bump up to S tier if I wanted to. You could also bump a few of them down even. I think A is just a solid spot where they kind of hover at. Imagine S is like a 5-star match and B is like a 4-star match. These matches are hovering in like the 4.8, 4.3 range. But I'm not going to round them. I'm just going to keep them in that section. And that's kind of where I'm going with this. So you can assume that S is 5, A is 4.5, B is 4, C is 3, D is 2, and F is 1 and below. So, yeah, that match, the Usos, 0. But Roman Cody, S, I don't think I really need to speak on this. Genuinely one of the best WrestleMania matches of ever. It's incredible what they did with, everything. So, congratulations. I've spoken about it at length before. So, again, you can go back and watch my WrestleMania match tier list. That is when I talk about that match a lot. So, you can really go and watch it then. But I'm not going to elaborate too much now because I've already done so. Next up is Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio versus the LWO. This match is fine. I don't think, again, this kind of qualifies in the C tier area, but I don't know if it's going to go there. I think it will just barely because of the interference of some of the Eagles players. But otherwise, this would not be really even close to being here. I don't think it really has earned that at all. And it's not worth being up in this WrestleMania, B, C, A. It's not supposed to be there. It's not in WrestleMania, or it shouldn't have been, because it's not a WrestleMania match. Like, Ray beats Dom again. Dragon League, yes, he wins, but you bury Dom. Beat Santos. And now, they've re-elevated those two. But at the time, it was just like, oh, they lost again. So I'm going to be sticking it in C. Again, it's one of those, I don't think this should be on a pay-per-view level matches. Next, we have Randy Orton versus Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. This is a good match. I'm going to be putting it in B. I don't think it's in that, top tier of A and S, but I do think it's an entertaining watch. Randy almost brings the punt back. Logan Paul's friend, iShow Speed, is there. That's entertaining. The RKO under the table's fun, and Logan retains after a pretty exciting match. Nothing incredible, nothing terrible, a very solid B-level match. Then we have Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship, and I'm going to also kind of bunch in Damian versus Drew here as well. Basically, they're kind of the same match. And if you include that, I'm going to be putting this in A. I think, Drew and Seth is already like, wow, that's a really good match. And then you add on the cash-in, it definitely gets in this A slot. I could argue putting it in S, but I don't think it's gotten all the way to there, but it is a really entertaining bout. Drew beats the hell out of Seth for basically the whole thing, and Seth gets a really cool entrance. So does Drew, with some bagpipes and everything and some swords. But at the same time, good job to all of the people involved here: Damian, Seth, Drew, all the people around Seth that look like Adam Rose's rosebuds, everybody involved. Great job, y'all. Then was the main event of night 1, which was Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns and The Rock. Now, this match, I don't really know where to put, because on one hand, yeah, it's a really good match. It's a great match. Should be an S tier. It belongs right up there, S tier. Boom. I've made my choice. But at the same time, you're like, well, the heels won. But that can be entertaining. But it wasn't perfect. They could have done more. Oh, but it was still really good. But I'm still going to be keeping it in that S tier slot. I do think it was a really entertaining match. You have The Rock. Yeah, he's not, prime Rock at this point, but he's still going really well because he's got great opponents to work with. Especially, he took a Cody Cutter obscenely well. He sells moves really well. He took a spear from Roman. And all in all, it's just a really entertaining match. It's a fun match to watch. And if you want to have fun watching wrestling, it's a match for you, because it is sure as hell a fun match to watch. Then we move on to Backlash. So this is the pay-per-view right after WrestleMania. It's the Backlash from WrestleMania. And at this point, we have 3 pay-per-views left. All of them have 5 matches on it, so there's only 15 matches left up to this point. Let's zip through them pretty quick. We have Damian Priest versus Jey Uso. This is kind of in that C tier again of, it's a match. I don't think it's a pay-per-view level match, but sure, why not? Have a match, have some fun with it. Good job. Then we move on to Kevin Owens and Randy Orton versus Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. I decided to speak in this accent because I messed up saying one of their names and didn't want to change it. But anyways, again, this is not a very good match. It's just there. Yes, it's no DQ, or whatever the stipulation was, but it doesn't need to be on a pay-per-view. And it's a lot of matches suffer from this in the Triple H era, where this doesn't need to be on a pay-per-view. Like, I could argue putting this match in D. I could argue putting this match in D, this match in D, and now this match in D. I could argue all of that if I wanted to. And I'm not going to put all of those in there, but now the more I think about it, this looks more accurate if I'm being honest. I think this, because of the no DQ stipulation, puts it in that C tier. I think that this match, because of the Eagles interference, is fun enough, but I'm honestly going to leave the other two down there. I don't think they deserve to be in C tier with these other matches. I'm not saying they're bad, but they're nothing special, and that's exactly what most of the matches in this area are. They're nothing special. They're just a good or mid match on a pay-per-view. Probably didn't need to be. Then we have the women's tag team titles changing hands as Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair defeated the Kabuki Warriors. This match is going to be going in C for me. Again, just a match. Bianca and Jade were really rolling through the women's tag team division at the time, so it's not surprising they got the win here. A pretty easy win, which, again, not surprising. But, again, doesn't need to be on a pay-per-view, main event of SmackDown or something. I'm not saying it's not, like, good that it's on a pay-per-view. I'm just saying it's not necessary for it to be here, and I don't think it can really go above B tier if that's kind of something you're saying about it. Then we move on to AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes, S tier. This match is a banger. It's really good for just a sole singles match. Very entertaining. You can argue that Styles has a chance of winning at certain points, but at the same time, you knew Cody was going to win. And again, a lot of the matches up here, you know the winner of. Like, Women's Rumble was pretty solid. Sammy Gunther, pretty solid. Cody Roman, 50-50, or maybe 75-25 in favor of Cody. This was probably going to be the heels. This was almost definitely going to be Cody. But still, they're all in S tier because they're really entertaining. And at the same time, you don't need to have a predictable finish as long as the match is good. Even if there is a predictable finish. If the match is good, I'm fine with it. But we're going to move on to the last match from Backlash. This is Bayley versus Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi for the Women's World title. This match is fine. I'm putting it in B. I think it's above what these matches are, but it's nothing obscenely special. I think it's entertaining, but nothing you couldn't see on, again, one of those special episodes of a Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite. You get the feeling. It ends with a roll-up. So, But, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's kind of surprising for a pay-per-view match, really, in 2024. A roll-up finishing it is not something you expect at this point in, WWE's chronology. Then we move on to King and Queen of the Ring. This followed Backlash, and Liv Morgan versus Becky Lynch for the WWE Women's World title. This match is going to be going in C. Again, nothing that special. I could argue it going in B, but for the moment, it's just going to go in C. Again, nothing incredible. Dominic's interference is a little misjudged and misguided, but still good enough. I don't think that this is the best match they could have had, and that's because they're in Saudi. They're in less easily maneuverable clothing is what I'm going to say, because Becky's outfit looks nice, but she's working like really stiff throughout the whole thing, and I could see it and I was like, Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed versus Sami Zayn for the IC title is an S tier match. Oh my gosh, I love this match so much. This is probably one of my favorite matches of the entire year. It's really entertaining seeing these three stallions just work their ass off, beating the crap out of each other. Sammy retains by pinning Bronson. Chad is pissed about this. And, that continues into the next pay-per-view where it's a singles match, which we'll get to in a little bit. And all in all, really entertaining job by everybody here. Then we have Nia Jax versus Lyra Valkyria. This, again, was a solid match. I don't think it was incredible. It was kind of had to be on the pay-per-view, I guess. But it didn't need to be. It's not a necessary thing for it to be here. But I'm not mad that it was. It's an entertaining match with a really good finish. I love the finish of this match. But, again, a match. Nothing special. Nothing terrible. Then Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul. This is going in A tier. It was really entertaining. Logan Paul's really good for Saudi shows for some reason. He's just obscenely good on them. So, good job, Logan. Good job, Cody. Entertaining. Cody wasn't losing. Then Gunther versus Randy Orton. I'm going to be putting this in B. A lot of people really enjoy this match. I enjoy it kinda. I don't think it's up to my style. I'm more of a Shawn Michaels kind of wrestling and not a Randy kind of wrestling or Gunther kind of wrestling. But I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying I personally prefer other things. But if you have this in A or S, I wouldn't complain with you. That's very up to you with that. Now, the most recent pay-per-view, Clash at the Castle. Again, there's only 5 matches on this show. I was thinking about doing a tier list just for those, but I changed my mind because there's only 5 matches. What am I going to rank? It's going to be like 2 tiers, and I'm like, good or bad? So we're going to just roll through these. Drew versus Damian is going in A. Very entertaining. Punk costing him was fun. It did make me lose 9 predictions that time, but still entertaining enough. Piper versus Bayley was really good. I'm going to be putting that in A as well. Maybe this is recency bias playing into it. The women's tag team title 3 was a little messy, so I'm going to be putting it in C. I don't think it was bad, but it's just a little, disjointed a little in certain places. Jade kind of fucked up that one bit because she slipped off the ropes, but that's not really her fault. She just happened to slip. There's like sweat all over the ropes, so I'm not really surprised that she did, but it's just unfortunate. Cody versus AJ was entertaining and not up to their previous level, so I'm going to be putting it in B. And Sammy versus Chad was really, really good. Not a very good finish. I'm going to be putting it in A. So this is my tier list. So what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down in them comments down below. Make sure you have a good day, good evening, good night, good morning, good dawn, good dusk, good whatever. Make sure to watch any former or future episodes of this channel. And goodbye.